Hello everyone, I'm so happy to have you here with me today and I'm so excited for today's video. It is the official launch of my downloadable National Scrapbook Day project guide for 2025. I've put a lot of time into creating a bunch of layouts featuring the fabulous NSD 2025 products from Creative Memories. I've written some step-by-step, easy to follow instructions so that you too can create the same layouts. Now, before I share all of these and walk you through my project guide, I'll let you know that the download is available now on my website, papersweetpea.com, and I will directly link it below this video. Now, if you follow me on social media, you would have seen that I posted the supply list for creating all of my layouts. If you have the NSD customer bundle, then you have all the paper products that you need. My guide features 4 single page layouts that you can create and 2 double page layouts. And once you've downloaded the guide, you can save it to your device, or perhaps you'd like to print it out like I have. As you can see, each layout has step-by-step instructions as well as process photos to help you. So this is really easy to follow, and I've designed it as a self-paced class. Now, before I flip through all of the layouts I've created, I just wanted you to know I am here watching live with you today. I have a live chat open and rolling, so please feel free to say hi. And if you have any questions at all, I'm here to answer them for you. So let me walk you through all of the layouts that you'll be able to create with my NSD 2025 project guide. This is layout number 1. It's a single page layout, and as you can see, I've also used the leafy vine punch as well as the rustic fence border maker cartridge with the border maker system. These 2 punches are still available on the Creative Memories website, and I just thought that they worked really well with the theme of NSD this year. This is layout number 2, and this will be the layout that I create with you all today. It features a fun leafy vine to the side here, and I've also been fussy cutting some of the cards from the Variety Mat Pack to create the large titles. Layout number 3 is yet another single page design, and it has separate panels of designer papers, and again, another large title that's been fussy cut from a card within the Variety Mat Pack. Layout number 4 is probably one of my most favorites for this year, specifically because it has some paper flowers. You know how much I love my paper flowers. This was super easy to create, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun creating it too. And I just want to show you, I've actually created this layout again since I first designed it, and I actually made it with the new Springtime Soiree collection from Creative Memories. So as you can see, you're not limited to using just the National Scrapbook Day products with my guide, because I've created the exact same layout from a different collection, and I was really happy with how this came together as well. Next, we move to our double page layouts, and this is the first of 2 double page designs you'll see featured in my project guide. The emphasis for my double page layouts is photos. I know how so many of you love to have lots of photos on your pages, and these double page designs will lend themselves to that perfectly. You could also add even more photos if you wanted to. You could just delete, some of these embellishments to add more photos, or you could use some peekaboo pockets. I think that that would work really well for this design as well. And I think the technique used to create this layout, again, I think you could use it with any collection, not just with the NSD products. And our final layout and the second double page design from my guide is this one. Again, a big emphasis on lots of photos, but please don't feel you have to, you know, position those or use as many as what I have. You can customize it to suit your own needs. You might like to put a journaling card or perhaps another embellishment card in its place. The choice is up to you. But I had a lot of fun with the flower pot punch down the bottom here. And I know that you will enjoy using these products as well. I've got another fussy cut title from a card within the Variety Map Pack that I've used up the top here, just to finish the layout off nicely. So now that I've shared the layouts that I've created for my project guide, we can start creating. I really want to scrapbook with you all today. So I've got my project guide here, and as I mentioned, we're going to be working on layout 2 and creating layout 2, which is this one here. You'll notice from my instructions, I also give a little mini supply list for each individual layout. It'll have the paper supplies, the tools that I've used, and then some optional extras if you've got these items on hand that you can use. And I also give all of the photo sizes that I've used for my layout. And as you can see, we've got some process step-by-step photos as well that will help you recreate this layout. So to begin with, we're going to be working with paper products from within the project recipe kit. So we're going to open that out. I'm just going to use a pair of my old scissors to just, I've already done it, I was going to say snip open my plastic bag there, which I've already actually done. I just like to open that up a bit wider so that I don't crumple any of these papers. And specifically, our background or base sheet for this layout is going to be the beige cardstock. Now, what I like to do with my cardstock before I start working with it, I just like to check that it is a neat 12 by 12 size, because quite often the cardstock sheets can actually be a little bit wider. So I'm just going to align that in my 12-inch trimmer, and it is actually a little bit wider. So I'm just going to trim off that small amount to make sure that it's the 12 by 12 size that we need. It's just a small smidgen off that side as well. Let's pop that in our rubbish. Okay, so that will be our base page for this layout. Now, from within the paper pack, I'm going to cut down this designer paper here. It's sort of like a lattice design, a garden lattice. So we just flick through our papers to find that. Here it is. It has the orange floral on the back. And we need to cut a strip down from this sheet of paper to measure 7 inches wide by 12 inches. So we'll just trim that through with our 12-inch trimmer. And we can bring back in our cardstock base. I'm just going to make sure that that's perfectly square on my cutting mat, and we're going to adhere this strip to the left side of the base paper, and you want to stick that in place 3/4 of an inch from that left side. So that will help you with positioning. We want that at 3/4 of an inch. So I'll add a little bit of adhesive to the back. And we can make sure that we've got it lined up at the top and the bottom at 3/4 of an inch in from that left side before getting that stuck into place. Okay, so with that strip in place, next we can work on these little yellow decorative edge strips that we've got on the side there, and we've used the scalloped blade for these. So I'll just set my layout to the side, and we're going to work with the yellow paper that has the little watering cans and cute little pot plants on the back of. I'll get my scallop blade, put that in the right way. So you need to cut 2 strips that are 1/2 inch wide, and we only want the scalloped edge on one side. So 1/2 inch wide, and you can see we've got that lovely curved scalloped edge. I'll cut a second strip just exactly the same measurement at 1/2 inch. And that's all we need from our yellow paper, just those 2 thin little scallop strips. Just remember to change out your blade back to the straight blade. I'd hate you to cut some of your paper incorrectly with the scallop blade in. Okay, so I'll bring back that base paper, and these strips will sit neatly down the edges of that lattice paper, just to give a little pop of colour and a nice decorative element with that scalloped edge. So you can add a little bit of your adhesive and just sit that strip flush against the side of that lattice paper. And then that open space of the beige cardstock, that's where we're going to add our leaves in that decorative edge border. There we go. Okay, so with those 2 strips in place, now we can start working on our decorative leaf border. Now it's up to you. I've got some very thin strips of brown designer paper here. You can use the brown paper like I have if you wish, or you could use the hot fudge cardstock. That's completely up to you. Now you will need to cut 3 very thin strips of your chosen paper, whether you're using this brown designer paper or you're using your hot fudge cardstock. When I say very thin, I'm only cutting mine the width of my 2 cutting lines there, so you'll be able to see how thin it is. So it's just going to be a few millimeters wide. So as you can see, super fine, super thin. And I'll cut another 2. And our 3rd and final. I'm going to bring each of those strips back into the 12-inch trimmer, and I'm going to cut the first one at a 10.5-inch length. This can be fiddly because they really are so fine. So we've got a 10.5-inch length for that first one. I'm going to cut the second one at 9.5 inches long. And our 3rd and final strip, I'm going to cut down to 8.5 inches long. And all these measurements, they're all written very clearly in your project guide. You'll be able to follow this very easily. Okay, so we'll bring back our background page, and now we can work on getting these strips into place. And you want them to cross over each other. And then I'm going to cross that medium-sized strip over here, and we can have the longest strip in the coming through the middle, but it's still crossed over those other strips at the base. And you want to try and keep it centered in that open space of your layout. And when you're happy, you know, with how you're going to position them, you can get them stuck down into place. Just using a little bit of adhesive. And you want them to go right to the base of the page. I'll add my medium length. I'm using repositional tape just in case I want to lift anything up at all. And then we can have the largest strip going through the center at the top there. Like so. Okay, so now we're going to work on recreating lots of these little leaves, and I have actually created a bunch already off camera, but I'm going to share with you how I made these just to save a little bit of time. Plus it can be boring to watch something you know, repetitive over and over again, something simple as these leaves. But I have used the avocado cardstock. And I will just say to you, be mindful on, you know, how many circles you're going to be punching, because there's only one sheet of avocado cardstock in the customer bundle, and I do use it across a couple of layouts. However, if you did find yourself a little bit short of the avocado cardstock and you don't have any in your stash, you've also got the Kelly green that you could use for these leaves. So you don't have to use the avocado. It's just that I chose to. But just remember that you do also have your Kelly green there as well. I did also use the reverse side of the brown designer paper and the lovely green print that's featured on the back there. So to create your leaves, you're going to need the Creative Memories circle punch. And this is really simple, but you just need to punch a circle, and you will get 2 leaves from that circle. So use your punch upside down and reinsert that circle until you can see a leaf shape. And then you just want to bring the punch down and punch. And that's the shape that you're going to be left with. And you'll have like a little moon shape left of your circle. And you can turn that around and you can actually punch a second leaf from that circle. And you'll just be left with a little off cut. If it helps you in quantity, I think I punched about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've punched 6 avocado circles, and I've punched 1, 2, 3. I've punched about 4 of the green designer paper. But again, you don't have to use as many as what I have used. That's just as a guide for you. Now, once you've punched your leaves, I like to just gently crease them. Not a sharp fold by any means, just a gentle crease, just to give them a little bit of shape. And you'll notice in the supply list for this layout, I gave an optional extra supply, which was some brown ink and an ink dabber, because I actually like to add a little bit of color to the edges of the leaves. It just helps them stand out that little. Gives them some dimension. So I'm just adding a little bit of brown ink to the edges. Give them a little bit of a highlight on the background of my layout. So it's as simple as that. And as I said, you can also create some from the green designer paper. But once you have all of your leaves, we can begin to stick them into place. And I had a little method for doing this to give the leaves a really good dimension on my layout, I brought in some of my foam squares, and what I've actually done is I've placed a small foam square at the top of the leaf, but I've only used adhesive tape at the base of the leaf. And what that does, I don't want the whole leaf to be sitting up off my layout. I just want to, you know, sort of raise the top edge of those leaves from the page. So you can actually begin sticking your leaves into place, and you can see what I mean there. I've just risen it from the page there at the top, but it's going to sit flush at the base. And it's just a matter of, you know, alternating the two different papers. You've got your avocado and you've got the designer paper to form your little leafy vine. You can sort of position your leaves first before you actually stick them into place to make sure you're happy with how they're going to be positioned. But this layout comes together quite quickly. And I'm just going to make my way down all three of those thin strips that we cut. Just working with both papers. Okay, so you will notice that I haven't gone all the way down with my leaves, and that's because I want to add an embellishment to the base of those leaves. So just for the minute, I'm going to work on getting our photos into place, and then we can look at finishing the layout with the embellishments. So I've allowed for 2 6x4 photos, and I've got one 3.5 by 3.5 photo that I've added to the center there with a photo mat. So I think I'm going to cut down, I'll cut down this photo, and I'm going to have these two photos at the top and the base of my layout, like so. So they can go into place. These aren't matted at all. You can mat them if you like. I didn't feel there was a need to. So I'm adding them probably about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the page, and I'll do the same for the top. I'll add it 1/2 inch down from the top. Like so, and then we can cut down this photo to 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm just going to bring in my photo trimmer, and I'll cut a little bit off the top. I'll cut probably about 1/4 inch off the top and 1/4 inch off the bottom. That will give us 3.5 inches, and then we just need to cut down the width here. So I'm trying to keep my subject matter centered. My little cutie here, I want her to be centered. If you had the Creative Memories photo trimming cards, and of course you could use those to freehand cut them. And then I'm just going to take another 1/4 inch off both sides to get my photo to 3.5 inches. So I'll get rid of my mess there. Now again, I'm going to mat this photo. I've used the same paper that I've used for my little thin strips in here, which was that brown paper. So again, depending on what you've used for matting your paper. And since we've got a 3.5 by 3.5 photo, I'm going to cut this down to 3.75 by 3.75. And you can get your photo stuck to the mat. It'll just give a nice little border around that photo. Bring that layout back in. And we can layer this photo here to the side. That's come together really nicely. So that pretty well has our photos in place, our borders done. All we really need to do now is come in and embellish our layout. Now, unfortunately, I only had the one variety mat pack, so I can't fussy cut the exact same title for this page, but you can see here that I've just separated each of the phrasing to create the title, and I've used a white journal pen to just hand draw a little border around the larger section there, as you can see. But have some fun with it, and you know, see what you prefer. I'm going to add probably another wheelbarrow to the base here. Like so, and I'll use my foam squares to get that into place. So that will sit up above our little leafy border. Stuck down into place, and then we can add some smaller embellishments to the top there. I've got some of the cute little layered embellishments there that came in the layered embellishment pack. There were some really cute little designs in there. So we've got the little pot plants there. You know, perhaps I could create my title with the Grow with Love die cut there, and we can add a little topiary over the top. That looks quite cute. We can add some little potted colour up to the top corner. So we'll stick that down. So I'm not using the variety mat pack like I have done in my project guide. But these embellishments are so cute. I love the topiary. Again, I'm using foam squares on the back of this just to raise that up from the page. And we can finish with our little embellishments to the top of that photo there. And I might just finish, let's see what we've got here. Just add one of these little phrase stickers over with the wheelbarrow. perhaps a little plant in the wheelbarrow itself to finish that off. So that completes my layout for today, and I'm super happy with how easy it was to bring together with those beautiful NSD products from Creative Memories. It was layout number 2 from my project guide for NSD 2025. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, this is now available for download from my website, papersweetpea.com, and I've linked it directly below this video today. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you give some of my layouts a try for National Scrapbook Day. But for now, take care, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.